if your number one is America first, this isn't America first. That's not an America first position you're making. Everybody has their own individual choices that they make, but your choices will have a direct impact, specifically during a time like this. If you think this is a truly important time, if in the back of your mind you're like, nah, Kamala winning's not that big of a deal, keep doing what you're doing. Light it up.
Yep.
But if you don't, come November 5th, while we're campaigning, and you sit there and like, record's been broken. Officially, first female African-American president. Applaud because you supported that, right?
As I said before, there's a lot of beef going on the PBD podcast, on the Valuetainment podcast between the co-hosts. And this one is directly involved with Patrick Bet-David versus one of his own co-hosts. Patrick Bet-David actually said to Vinny, his co-host, that if he continues down the path that he's going down, if he continues saying the things that he has been saying, he is going to sabotage Trump's chances at winning this next election. Let's get into this clip here from Valuetainment, from the PBD podcast, of Patrick Bet-David shutting down one of his co-hosts for having the wrong opinion on a certain topic that, that it's a very hot topic right now, to say the least. Let's get into this PBD podcast episode.
How do you feel about Trump right now?
I'm not that when people go, oh, you're just a loyalist. I don't like the border situation, and I don't like that.
What can he do to lose your vote?
I mean, he's not. If the other option is Kamala Harris, PBD, I'm voting for Donald Trump no matter what. He's not going to lose my vote.
So he can't do anything to lose your vote.
Well, guess what? If he was on Epstein's island and was with the child, yes, I would not vote for him. Period. If he was a Bill Clinton, if he had the record that Bill Clinton had, done deal.
You'd vote for Kamala then?
No, I wouldn't. I would sit it out.
Okay.
Period.
Okay. But in regards to this decision that he's making with Israel is not at the same level for you as where it would cause you to not want to vote for the guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the other policies I love.
So let me ask you, do you think all of these things that are going on right now, what is your top issue in your life right now politically? What's your number one? Rank your top issues.
My top issues right now.
You do it in the comments too. I want to see what you guys have to say before Vinny does it. So pause the video here and let me know in the comments, what are your top issues politically? I would have to say, number one, economy. I like cars. I like buying cars. I want to buy some more cars with lower interest rates. Number two, I would like to invest in some real estate without the interest rates being extremely high. That's obviously the same thing. So economy is number one for me, and then immigration number two, and then after that it's the foreign policy, like sending money to the other wars that are not in the United States that somehow we find a way to be involved in every single time, even though they don't actually involve us. Stop sending money to Ukraine, stop sending money to the Middle East, give our tax dollars to stuff that actually can help the United States of America. Those are my top three. Let me know in the comments what your top three is.
The border is one of the main ones right now. So I think illegals are coming in Alabama, PBD. They just found in Alabama 3,200 illegal non-citizens registered to vote.
Okay, what's your second?
Number two, economy.
What's three?
Does inflation kind of go into that as well? Yeah. But security, and Pat, on top of that, I'll put the economy, inflation, and then security with what's going to happen, because I know something bad is coming.
Security.
Yes.
Okay, what else?
The protection of the children. Everything that they're doing with the kids.
Pedophilia.
I have a story about pedophilia.
Got it.
Open board. The border kind of goes into that.
That's a good one too, actually. With all the weirdo policies that the Democrats and the left are trying to push on us and have been trying to push for the last 10 or so years, it's just gotten weirder and weirder. So that's actually a good one from Vinny too, and PBD for mentioning that.
I mean, those are my top four. Top four, top five.
So where does Israel lie in your top 10 list?
Probably lower in the past 5, 6, 7.
In a 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's number three for me. I don't even just say it's like the Middle East, just Israel. It's like foreign aid in general to these wars that keep popping up. In general, stop giving money to them. And there's a lot of things. It's a lot deeper than that. Obviously, I know like a lot of our politicians are in a stranglehold with AIPAC and stuff. So all of that needs to be solved. But yeah, it's number three for me on the list.
I want them to get us into a freaking crazy war that is an intentional trying to get us into war.
Okay. You think they could have done that in 2016, 2017, 18, 19, 20?
Meaning what?
Could Israel have done that to get U.S. into a war in 2016 through 2020?
I mean, there wasn't an event like October 7th.
Yeah, but could they have, if they really wanted to, fabricate a story to get us into a war?
Yeah, or like a false flag, something.
Did it happen?
No.
Okay. So what's above for you? Trump winning or Israel being held accountable?
For right now, the way that the world's going, Trump has to win. That's my number one.
So that's the part about when, do you think Candace and all this stuff that's going on, Dan, Tate doesn't live here. Tate lives in Romania. Okay, yeah. So Tate, U.S., of course, they want Trump to be the president. Tate's a Trump guy. He's publicly said it. Do you think all of that helps Trump's case or hurts Trump's case? Hurts Trump's case. How do you feel about that?
I know a lot of you see channels like this one, and it probably makes you want to start your own channel exposing the woke cult and maybe even replace your job with it eventually. If you don't know, I'm actually a YouTube strategist and I specialize in growing channels within this exact niche. I actually own a few other channels in this exact space that I never appear on, that I just handle the behind the scenes strategy for, that you probably watch pretty regularly, and I also work with a lot of larger names in the space to help them grow their channels. My main goal with this whole thing is to help equip good people with the skills that it takes to grow their channels, grow their voice, and expose the evils in the world. So if you want to know exactly how I grow my channels and my clients' channels so quickly, you can actually steal my exact strategy with the link to a YouTube video in the pinned comment on this video. I break everything down in that video in the pinned comment, so go check it out. Let's get back to the video.
Not a big fan of it, but at the same time, she's chosen her enemy. It's a big freaking enemy. I know you say, choose them wisely, but I think there's something deeper that she has a calling for, that she's going to go with it. And
how much of it do you think it's her? How much of it do you think is the falling out with Daily Wire?
I think the Daily Wire situation sparked the fire in her that's taken off, and it's way past that. Ben Shapiro is so far back in her rear view, it's insane. It's like now it's a bigger issue. Now he set the flame, and now it's a full-on fire alarm. Like it's insane.
Do you think America needs that today?
What?
That, just going through that whole Israel thing today.
I mean, do we need it? I think we do need it.
Okay.
I think we have to have.
How do you think the left feels about it today?
Of course, anything that's having us fighting with each other is obviously huge.
Got it. So the left's going to use this
big time,
and that's why they wrote an article titled "What? Far-right influencers talking about guys like you turn against Trump campaign," and that's a WAPO story. Who does that help?
The left, obviously.
Who does that hurt?
The right, Trump.
So when November 5th comes and Kamala's president, remember these days. Mm-hmm. Just letting you know. When November 5th comes and all of these guys, when and by the way, trust me, you're going to get swamped with support and messages today. You're going to be swamped with messages of support today. Swamped.
But this is the same cult-like behavior that we criticize the left for. The left is like, they kick out people like Joe Rogan and Russell Brand and people like that because they're not able to go far enough woke. Like if you don't continue to stay with them and keep one-upping yourself from the previous year on how woke you are, how crazy you are, you're going to get kicked out. If you just sit back and you're like, oh, hold on, guys, we've gone a little bit too far here. They kick you out. They shun you. That's kind of what Patrick Bet-David's doing here with Vinny. He's like, we can't afford to disagree with anything that Donald Trump is doing, because if we do, then we're going to lose. It's like, that's a very cult way of looking at it. Vinny is still saying to Patrick Bet-David here that, yeah, I disagree with Donald Trump with this one thing, but it's 5th or 6th or 7th on my list, so I'm still going to vote for Trump, obviously, because the alternative is Kamala. But I still disagree with him on this one thing. And Patrick Bet-David's basically saying, no, you can't afford to disagree, because if you disagree with even one thing that Donald Trump says, it's going to be your fault when Kamala Harris wins the presidency. And I just don't like that way of thinking. Even if he is right, even if he's correct, Patrick Bet-David is, I don't like that way of thinking. I just think that's very cult-like, and that does not breed free thinking. That doesn't breed free conversation. That breeds the woke cult, but on the other side. Two sides of the same coin at that point. That's not, I don't know. Let me know in the comments how you feel about that. That rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. I've really liked Patrick Bet-David, and I supported him, a lot recently. I've been defending him against a lot of people in the comments who are trashing him, but that's something that, to me, I completely disagree with, that way of thinking. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments.
Vinny, you're the only guy, you're this, and you're that, and you're this, and yeah. Great. When that happens, they're not sitting there matching your number one, which your number one is Trump winning. Mm-hmm. Their number one is their hate and dislike for Israel. That's their number one. You have to kind of pick and choose which one's going to be your number one. If your number one is America first, this isn't America first. That's not an America first position you're making. Everybody has their own individual choices that they make, but your choices will have a direct impact, specifically during a time like this. If you think this is a truly important time, if in the back of your mind you're like, nah, Kamala winning's not that big of a deal, keep doing what you're doing. Light it up.
Yep.
But if you don't, come November 5th, while we're campaigning, and you sit there like, record's been broken. Officially, first female African-American president, applaud because you supported that, right? And in your indirect way, you helped that. That's the part where the left is united, and that's the part where the right is fragmented.
Yep.
The right is fragmented. And why is the right fragmented? Ego, pride, I'm right, I know what I'm talking about, da-da-da-da, pa-pa-pa-pa, da-da. Today is...
I don't think it really matters. I just disagree hardcore with what PBD is saying here. I don't think anyone who is claiming America first, saying that they're America first, which I think a lot of you watching are probably America first, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. Not many people out there who are claiming to be America first would ever vote for Kamala Harris no matter what happens. I don't think Vinny and people like Vinny saying that Trump's stance on the Middle East is not a good one and he disagrees with them, but he's still going to vote for Trump. I don't think that's going to make America firsters who are watching the PBD podcast and watching these types of, content. I don't think that's going to make them sit back and say, oh, Vinny just said that he disagrees with Trump on Israel. I'm going to go vote for Kamala Harris. Like, America firsters are not saying that. That's not going to happen. Anyone who is America first and doesn't like America's involvement in the Middle East and how much the Middle East, that certain country that Ben Shapiro loves so much, has a stranglehold on us, anyone who doesn't like that, who's America first, they're not voting for Kamala Harris no matter what. The only people who vote for Kamala Harris who also share that same opinion that Vinny has are people who just hate America and also hate America's allies. It's like Hassan and Hassan Piker's audience, those types of people who Hassan has basically came out in support of Hamas, which is disgusting. And I don't think Vinny would ever do that. Vinny's just like, hey, that country over there in the Middle East has a stranglehold on us. We should probably do something about that. And Donald Trump doesn't seem like he has any interest in doing something about that. And I disagree with that. But I'm still voting for Trump. I don't think that's swaying any America firsters over to voting to Kamala Harris. But you can let me know in the comments if I'm completely wrong on that. What do you think about Patrick Bet-David kind of checking his co-host and saying that he's going to be the reason why Kamala Harris wins the next election and not Donald Trump? Let me know what you're thinking, man. There's a lot of things boiling up on the PBD podcast for sure. Let me know what you're thinking about this whole PBD podcast situation in the comments.